The second educational logistic you need to understand focuses on classroom dynamics. Classroom dynamics can be broken down into 4 pieces: the college credit hour, a class syllabus, grade point average, and studying. Let's get started with the college credit hour.
Here's an example of a student's first semester class load. Let's call this student Liz. She's taking Math 101, English 101, Accounting 101, and Biology 101 for a total of 15 credit hours. Most people understand that a credit hour is based on the number of hours per week Liz is supposed to be in a classroom or a laboratory. This is pretty straightforward. Also included in that formula is the projected number of hours she's going to spend off campus per week. For every 1 hour she's supposed to be in a seat, it's projected she'll spend 2 hours off campus studying or doing class-related materials for that course. So if we total these two up, what we see is the projected number of hours per week per class. This is how the credit hour was originally devised. So if we look at the total number of projected hours per week Liz is going to be spending on her courses for a 15-hour credit load, it's 45 hours a week. This is why full-time credit status is usually at 12 or 13 credit hours, depending on which college or university you go to. It's based on the number of projected hours per week. This is not a random calculation. Next classroom dynamic is a course syllabus. A course syllabus can be thought of like the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. If you understand how to look at this syllabus, it tells you all the information you need to know about that class the very first day. This is not a simple piece of paper the professor hands out. This syllabus is something professors spend time building to make sure the information they find most valuable is given to their students the first day. You need to understand how to look at this and utilize it to your advantage. First big piece of information you need to highlight is the contact information. What is the email address, or what is the best way the professor likes to be contacted? You need to highlight that immediately. Next piece. Throughout the whole semester, what work are you going to be graded on? You need to highlight that immediately after getting the syllabus to find out every single point you're going to be responsible for throughout that entire semester. Next, the grading scale. For all that work you're going to be graded on, what is the overall grading scale? These things will not change from the first day of the class to the end of the class. You need to know this right away and determine if you want to stay in this class right away. A syllabus can be viewed as a contract. These are the terms of the contract. You're deciding whether or not you want to stay in that contract or not. This Hitchhiker's Guide to a class, the syllabus, gives you all that information. The next piece of the syllabus is what I consider to be one of the most valuable pieces, and this is what I call professor-specific policies. Professors are given great liberty when it comes to creating their own syllabus. Therefore, the information you find in that syllabus will be directly from that individual professor. For example, in my class, I put on the syllabus that the course will not be curved and there will be no extra credit. Each professor creates their syllabus specifically for their course. Therefore, they're giving you direct information. Make sure you know how to look at it. Last point, exam dates. What you want to do is highlight when each of your exams are in each of your classes the first week, and then take a calendar and mark when each of those exams are going to be. This will then allow you to figure out the first week of classes if you're going to have weeks throughout the semester where you have multiple exams coming up on the same days or the same weeks, so you can devise a good study strategy. Next classroom dynamic deals with the grade point average. Let's take a look at the end of Liz's first semester and take a look at her grades. The first thing you need to understand is how to convert a letter grade to a grade point equivalent. Most people understand this as the 4-point grading scale. But every university does this a little different. Some use a 4-point grading scale with an A equaling a 4.0, a B a 3.0, and a C a 2.0. Some will give you 2.5s, some will allow 2.75s. Next, what you want to do is multiply that number times the number of credits in that class. And what you'll get is the total number of grade points earned in that class. After that, it's simple. Get the total number of credits for your semester and the total number of grade points earned in that semester, divide those two, and that'll be your GPA. By understanding how to calculate a GPA in this simple way, you can also see the power of your early classes. Let me show you what I mean. Liz now is about to graduate from college, and she has 15 credits more to go. She has 105 and she needs 120 to graduate, so she has 15 left. She currently has a 2.7 GPA, meaning she has earned 283.5 grade points. Let's take a look what happened to Liz her last semester in college. She has 4 classes to go, 15 credits worth, and she gets a straight 4.0, all A's for her last semester. So just like before, if you add up the number of credits and the total number of grade points, you divide the two, this gives her a 4.0. My question is, what was her graduating GPA? And what you'll see is that her GPA got raised very, very little, even though she got a 4 straight A's her last semester. Why did her GPA not go up that much? Because the total number of credit hours that she has to her name is so high that it does not influence the overall GPA very much. This is really valuable to understand very early on in your college career because those first 3 semesters in college are extremely valuable to what your GPA is going to end up with at the very end. Once you have 3 or 4 semesters worth of grades, how much your GPA will change gets harder and harder. That includes going up and down. Last classroom dynamic focuses on studying. Let's start by looking at this picture. Do you see a dog? 60% of all students I ever show this picture to immediately see a dog. Another 20%, if I show them where the dog is, will see it instantly. The last 20%, even if I highlight where the dog is, will never see the dog. So why use this picture to highlight studying? Because not everybody's mind works the same. If you're having trouble in your courses, it's most likely due to bad study habits. Don't rely on any single study technique. Instead, try different ones if you're having problems. This list highlights some of the major study techniques used by students in college today. One technique not on this list, which I want to highlight right now, is the game time study technique. The game time study technique focuses on training students to understand that a college exam can be treated just like a game. And just like any other game in the world, if you're going to get good at it, you want to practice exactly the way the game is played. My example I typically use is basketball. If you're a basketball player, doesn't it help to practice basketball the same way the game's going to be played? Same way with music. If you play piano and you have to give a piano recital, doesn't it help to play piano in preparation for that recital? I know this sounds quite simple, but when it comes to studying, people don't quite make this connection. Here's an example from one of my intro biology courses that I teach. My exams are always short answer, no multiple choice, and no essay. But I find it interesting that students are typically studying without ever practicing writing out short answers. When I help students one-on-one with my courses, I teach them immediately to take a look at my exams and practice the exact same way they think the exams are going to be, just like it was a game or a recital. In this case, the exams are games and studying is practice. If you know the exams you're going to have in a course are multiple choice, you should be practicing writing multiple choice questions. 3 major points to understand about the game time study technique. Each exam you'll ever have in college is going to cover a set amount of material. So you need to understand what that material is going to be. Now, it might be a lot of material, chapters 2 through 17, or 9 PowerPoint presentations. Whatever it is, there is a limited amount of material. Therefore, you know the material the professor is going to use to write the exams. Second point, focus in on how previous exam questions were written. Professors have tendencies on how they write questions. Exam 2 typically always looks like exam 1. So if you take point 1, limited amount of information, and you understand how the professor likes to ask questions, you have no reason not to be able to write practice exams in the exact question types that you think will be on the exam, including then practicing the answers in the way you do them during the actual game or the exam. This allows you to practice the exact same way the game is going to be. You practice the same way the recital is going to be. You study the same way the exam is going to be. Last highlight is you should be studying for each class differently since each class has a different professor writing different types of questions. Take these 3 points and combine them together, and you should have a good strategy for studying in college. Remember, the list of study techniques that you see here is also available on the download section on this website. So if you're struggling in classes, take a look at the study techniques you're trying, and don't be afraid to try new ones and see if that solves the problem. By understanding these 4 classroom dynamics, a credit hour, a syllabus, a GPA, and study techniques, you'll be better prepared to be successful in the classroom in college. I wish you nothing but the best. And remember, take yourself seriously.